Hare Krishna, invocation prayers, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Thapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagajadam Saganal Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will continue Canto 4, Chapter 8 and finish Chapter 8. Most likely we should be able to finish. You had lots of spiritual endeavors to complete. Let's begin with that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Last time we have given a spiritual endeavor. The first question is, give reason why Maitreya wanted to relate the activities of Dhruva. The activities in the life of Dhruva are very attractive for devotees because from his pious action, one can learn how to detach from the material possession and enhance one's devotional service by serious austerity and penance. So, by hearing his activities, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service.
Yeah, very good. That yes, Dhruv Maharaj's activities are very attractive to devotees, that we can also enhance our devotion. Very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, I just had a question connected to this answer. Prabhu, here it says one can enhance one's devotion service by severe austerities and penances. So, Prabhu, then this is, not exactly bhakti yoga, no? If you're going to do severe austerities and penances.
So, austerities does not refer to just the austerities that Ashtanga Yogi or Gyan Yogis perform. On the spiritual path, you have to do austerities, even in Bhakti Yoga. So, many of you, probably all of you, wake up early, chant 16 rounds, follow regulative principles, or honor only prasadam. These are also austerities. Right? So austerities does not just refer to what Ashtanga Yogi does. Yes, the Ashtanga Yogi process is the little difficult process and more focused on austerities rather than the Bhakti Yoga process of engaging your senses in Krishna's service. But even in Bhakti Yoga, austerities are involved. Ask materialistic people to wake up at 4:30 to attend Mangalarti. Will anybody do it? Shalini?
No, Prabhu. I understood, Prabhu. I was more relating to Ashtanga Yogi, Gyan Yogi, Prabhu. Now I got it.
All right. Mother Jija?
Prabhuji, the words ekamatya means concentrating one's mind on the Lord without deviation. So if anyone wants material happiness, he can worship the Supreme Lord without deviation. Persons who are desirous of liberation can also worship Supreme Lord and attain their goal of life. There is no need to worship demigods, Prabhuji.
All right, very good. Fully covered Ekmatya. Okay. That
Prabhu.
concentrate on the Lord. All right, Shalini.
Yeah, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I had just a follow-up question. Prabhu, here it says anyone who wants material happiness. I'm just thinking like if someone is worshipping the Supreme Lord without deviation, it's more for to engage in devotional service. No, Prabhu, why should he ask for material happiness?
Yeah, so this is the learning from Dhruv Maharaj's section in Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as this is also described in 2.3.10, that whether you have desires, whether you want liberation, or whether you have no desires, one should still worship the Lord by all means. So yes, the highest level is obviously to worship the Lord without any desires, just to satisfy the Lord as to what the Lord desires. That anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. But even if you have desires, exactly what Dhruv Maharaj has. Dhruv Maharaj's desire is to get a kingdom bigger than his father's kingdom. Well, that's a pure material desire. So even then, you should go to the Lord. And we have discussed this multiple times as well as in the Bhagavad Gita demigod worship discussion, that demigod worship does not open doors of bhakti, while going to Krishna even for material desires, the doors for bhakti get open, and the result is right what we are discussing, Dhruv Maharaj, that soon in the next chapters, coming up chapters will be that Dhruv Maharaj attains a spiritual world. Shalini?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, read 2.3.10. You can also recite if you like.
Prabhu, just 1 second. I have to go through that. Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhu,
2.3.10.
3.10. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajte purusham param.
Very good.
Translation.
Yeah.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire or without any material desire or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Yeah, I got it, Prabhu. Only thing I was not able to get into the thing that, how can somebody worship the Supreme for material benediction? But that's the only thing.
All right, very good. Uncle?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, the homework question 3. Relate Srila Narada Muni's first advice to Dhruva. And why did he advise this way? A little prelude about generally. Mostly persons take spiritual perfection at the end of his life, after the 4 stages of life, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. Dhruva being young, Narada Muni did not want him to fail also. He wanted to test his determination as to how serious he was in his devotional service. Since from any point of life, one can and should begin rendering devotional service. Hence, he advised him to go back home and come back when Dhruva is grown up, so that he will get a chance by the mercy of the Lord. This is the test by spiritual masters, Narada Muni, so that the student does not fail, but to check his firm determination. This is my humble realization, Prabhu.
Very good. Yeah, spiritual master will test your determination. All right, very good. Chandran Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The fourth question about Srila Narada Muni's formula for escaping from the threefold miseries of the material world. Number one, for more qualified man, one must be very pleased. And number two, for less qualified man, one should be compassionate to him. Number three, one who is an equal must treat as a friend. Number four, in general, one should have compassion for the people who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. These formulas will make one happy within this material world. This is my understanding.
Yeah, very good. This is one of the key learning from through Maharaj's prayers, verse number 34, chapter 8. Very good. That how to be non-envious. And Prabhupada has said that this is the way you should live in the world, to be non-envious, that if we meet qualified person, more qualified person, then we should rejoice, not be envious. And less qualified person, we should feel compassion and not look down upon the less qualified. And equally qualified should make friends and not be competitive. Very good. Shalini had a question.
No question, Prabhu. You had asked one more query where you asked us to find out which Bhagavad Gita verse has these two words, Ananya Bhak. So that is 9.30, Prabhu.
All right. Rest of you, did you find? Was it difficult to find?
Prabhuji,
Yeah. Manaji.
Prabhuji, I thought it was 7.16, Prabhuji. Everyone seeks the Supreme Lord for some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without desire for material profit. That is Anya Abhilashita Sunyam. One should not desire for material profit or gain. This is pure devotional service, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so you are correct that Anya Abhilashita Shunyam refers to Ananya Bhak. Ananya Bhak means pure devotional service. But I was referring to the word, but very good endeavor to find out. I mean, my whole intent is to make you go to scriptures and find and read. Basically, if you go to scriptures, you are associating with Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. So yes, very good endeavor. And also correct endeavor in terms of pure devotional service, where all it is referencing. The exact verse is, of course, 9.30, that in the previous class where one of the purport Prabhupada is referring to the word Ananya Bhak, he is referring to 9.30 because he is referring to pure devotional service, and which can be there in many places. Rest of you, did you find, or you had a challenge to find that?
Yes, Prabhuji, I could find out. And I want to add up in the question for what is Narada's formula for being aloof from the miseries of this world. May I do that?
Go ahead.
Apart from what nicely illustrated by Chandran Prabhuji, my realization is by these important functions of realization, you are purified, and we are here to get transformed and be happy in this material world which is full of miseries. This is my realization.
All right, very good. Rest of you, who were you able to find Ananya Bhak or had a challenge?
Yes, Prabhu, 9 point.
All right.
Yeah.
I was looking at 8.14, Prabhu. That also has a word Ananya Cheta. Yeah, but I think 9.3 is the right verse.
30, yeah.
Yeah, you are correct that 8.14 is says that Bhakti Yoga is Sulabha. So of course the Ananya Bhak means pure devotional service would obviously be there many places in Bhagavad Gita. The point was to find the exact, but okay, rest of you have not answered. Were you able to find, or you had a challenge?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, for what?
Was able to find.
Not able to find?
Was able to find.
Okay. So very good. You endeavor. I mean, this was real out of your comfort zone, that it wasn't even the first line, or even wasn't even the first word in any of the line. I mean, normally Bhagavad Gita only has the first line. It is only Gopal Krishna Prabhu's Bhagavad Gita version that index has all the lines in the index. And even if you add all the lines, the word Ananya Bhakt comes in second line, last word. It was really difficult. So the way to find out this is obviously to know the verses, what exactly the verses are telling you. And beyond a point, you'll have to use Veda pages to look up. Gopal Prabhu.
Just to add to Shalini's question on the penance, Prabhu, even if one can seriously, this, since we are all in the materialistic world, if we can start with the practicing consciously the text 34, what is given here, that itself is a good penance to begin with. That will open the gates of progress in bhakti.
Yeah, very good. Correct point. Yeah. 8.34 is a very important verse. Prabhupada has said we should live in this world according to this verse also. So far we have 3 verses on how to live in this world. So one is 8.7, then 10.14.8, and now we have 4.8.34. And read those verses as part of your spiritual endeavor for today. And you can bring realizations at our next class.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, could you please repeat? Just lost connection, Prabhu.
Yeah, 8.7 Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 10.14.8, and Bhagavatam 4.8.34.
So we have to read and get a realization, Prabhu?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously Bhagavad Gita 8.7 you can also recite. The 10.14.8 is also an important verse, but we haven't yet covered. Plus it's the 10.14.8, the meter is long and the verse is little long. So it's difficult to pronounce right now or recite that verse. 8.7 should definitely be easier to recite and memorize. All right. Any questions, comments, realizations before we continue?
Prabhuji, the actual realization impact is felt after reading 35 to 82 in this chapter.
Okay. All right, so let's continue from Canto 4, Chapter 8, verse 35 onwards. So the context is that even as a child, because of his passionate Kshatriya nature, Dhruva becomes angry upon being chastised by his stepmother Suruchi, and Dhruva's mother Suniti does not know the solution. Suniti advises Dhruva to worship the Lord, hence Dhruva leaves home to go to forest. So Narad Muni, a spiritual master, tests Dhruva's determination and advises Dhruva to go back home and to practice spirituality when he grows up. But Dhruva is determined and asks Narad Muni that your advice I cannot accept. Tell me, how can I satisfy my desire? And I will continue discussing those points today. So the essential instruction from life of Dhruva is described in verse number 35 purport, that whether or not a person is afflicted by material desires, he is still fit to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Exactly what Shalini was inquiring is described in verse 35 purport. We'll soon read. And the other key learning from Dhruva Maharaj's life is that how to be free of envy, that upon meeting a more qualified person, one should rejoice and not be envious. Upon meeting a less qualified person, one should feel compassion and not look down upon the less qualified. And upon meeting an equally qualified person, one should be friendly and not competitive. This way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of material world. So part 5 is verses 35 to 62. Title is Dhruva expresses his ambitious goal and Srila Narad Muni instructs him on the process to attain it. So when Srila Narad Muni stated to Dhruva Maharaj to go back home because path of spirituality is difficult, so Dhruva states to Srila Narad Muni that he, means Dhruva, cannot accept Srila Narad Muni's good advice. And Dhruva asked Srila Narad Muni to show an honest path so that Dhruva can achieve his goal. So verses 35 to 38 are straightforward. Shivangi, 35 to 38 translations.
Hare Krishna, text 35. Dhruva Maharaj said, "My dear Lord Naradaji, for a person whose heart is disturbed by the material conditions of happiness and distress, whatever you have so kindly explained for attainment of peace of mind is certainly a very good instruction. But as far as I am concerned, I am covered by ignorance, and this kind of philosophy does not touch my heart. My dear Lord, I am very impudent for not accepting your instructions, but this is not my fault. It is due to my having been born in a Kshatriya family. My stepmother Suruchi has pierced my heart with her harsh words. Therefore, your valuable instruction does not stand in my heart." Text 37. O learned Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the three worlds by anyone, even by my father and grandfather. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life. Text 38. My dear Lord, you are worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instrument, the veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun, which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living beings. Hare Krishna.
So the essential instruction from the life of Dhruva is described in verse 35 purport. We'll soon read. Shivangi will be reading that whether or not a person is afflicted by material desires, he is still fit to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The answer is that everyone is fit to worship the Lord. Even if one has many material desires to fulfill, he should take to Krishna consciousness and worship the Supreme Lord Krishna. Now, through this narration, it will become very clear that no one is banned from worshipping the Supreme Lord, even if one has many material desires. Shivangi, 35 purport.
Verse 35 purport. There are various classes of men. One class is called akamis, referring to those who have no material desire. Desire must exist, either material or spiritual. Material desire arises when one wants to satisfy one's personal senses. One who is ready to sacrifice anything to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead because can be said to have spiritual desire. Dhruva did not accept the instruction given by the great saint Narada because he thought himself unfit for such instruction, which prohibited all material desires. It is not a fact, however, that those who have material desires are prohibited from worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the essential instruction from the life of Dhruva. He frankly admitted that his heart was full of material desires. He was very much affected by the cruel words of his stepmother, whereas those who are spiritually advanced do not care about anyone's condemnation or adoration. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that persons who are actually advanced in spiritual life do not care for the dual behavior of this material world. But Dhruva Maharaja frankly admitted that he was not beyond the affliction of material distress and happiness. He was confident that the instruction given by Narada was valuable, yet he could not accept it. The question raised here is whether or not a person afflicted by material desires is fit to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The answer is that everyone is fit to worship him. Even if one has many material desires to fulfill, he should take to Krishna consciousness and worship the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is so merciful that he fulfills everyone's desires. Through this narration, it will become very clear that no one is barred from worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if one has many material desires. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer, Shalini, your question and the rest of you?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
All right. So
That means the human nature is such that they have material desire, so that by the mercy of Lord you are fit to worship the Lord. That is my understanding, Prabhuji.
So we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita 2.71 verse. And Prabhupada explains the same point in verse 35 purport that we just read, that desires have to be there, either material or spiritual. You cannot have empty consciousness. You have to have desires. It's just that you have to purify your desires and come to spiritual desires only. Uncle?
Got it. Got it.
All right. So verses 39 to 62, title is Shri Narad Muni instructs Dhruva on the process to attain his goal. So it's not a separate part. I'm just saying these set of verses are focused on Shri Narad Muni giving the process to Dhruva. The duty of spiritual master is described in verse number 40. Mother Jija, verse 39 and 40 translations and then 40 purport. You all try to find out what is the duty of spiritual master and what is not the duty of spiritual master.
Text 39, translation. The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality Narada Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate towards him, and in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice. Text 40. The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Purports.
Purport 39. Since the great sage Narada in his foremost spiritual is the foremost spiritual master, naturally his only activity is to bestow the greatest benefit upon whomever he meets. Dhruva Maharaj, however, was a child, and so his demand was also that of a playful child. Still, the great sage became compassionate towards him, and for his welfare, he spoke the following verses. Purport 40. Dhruva Maharaj's demand was to achieve an abode even greater than Lord Brahma's. Within the universe, Lord Brahma is supposed to be in the most exalted position, for he is the chief of the demigods. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a realm beyond his. Therefore, his desire was not to be fulfilled by worshipping any demigod. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the benedictions offered by the demigods are all temporary. Therefore, by his mother to worship Therefore, Narada Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to follow the path recommended by his mother to worship Krishna and Vasudeva. When Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. But Suniti and Narada Muni knew that the demand of Dhruva Maharaj was impossible for any demigod to fulfill, and therefore both of them recommended following the process of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Narada Muni is referred to here as Bhagavan because he can bless any just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead can. He was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj and he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. But that is not the duty of the spiritual master. His duty is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service as prescribed in the Shastras. Krishna was similarly present before Arjuna, and even though he could have given him all facilities for victory over the opposing party without a fight, he did not do so. Instead, he asked Arjuna to fight. In the same way, Narada Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to undergo devotional discipline in order to achieve the desired result. Hare Krishna.
All right. What is the duty of spiritual master and what is not the duty of spiritual master?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The duty of the spiritual master is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service to the Supreme. And what he is not supposed to do is to fulfill whatever desires the disciple has.
Material desire, right? So disciple has material desire, then the spiritual master is not supposed to fulfill that desire. He may give guidance, but not as the guidance about spiritual desires. All right, very good. And Prabhupada also gives the example of Krishna and Arjuna, that Arjuna could have got his desire fulfilled from Krishna without fighting the war. But Arjuna did not do that. Rather, Krishna engaged Arjuna in devotional service. Now, Srila Narad Muni will instruct Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Lord's lotus feet. Verses 41 to 44 are straightforward. Mother Chandra Aunty, 41 to 44 translations.
Hare Krishna, text 41. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for worship of his lotus feet, yields the fulfillment of all these. Text 42. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvana, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lived there. 643. Narada Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Asana Yoga and then sit down on your asana, sitting place, in a common in a calm and quiet position. Text 44. After sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises, and thus gradually control the life air, the mind, and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination, and with great patience by being to begin the meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
The straightforward verses of asking Dhruva to follow the process. Now, if you go to verse number 42, Sanskrit, the very first line has the words Bhadramte. Bhadramte means all good fortune unto you. So my spiritual master is Grace Vaishyadas Adhikari. In all his communications with us, he starts with these words, Bhadramte. All right. So for meditation, Lord's beautiful form is described in verses 45 to 51. Now these 45 to 51 verses are also straightforward, and the same form is described many places in Srimad Bhagavatam. Gopal Prabhu, 45 to 51 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 45, translation. The form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased, and he is always prepared to award benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods. Text 46 translation. Narada Muni continued, the Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy. Text 47. The Lord is further described as having the mark of Srivatsa, or the sitting place of the goddess of fortune, and his bodily hue is deep bluish. The Lord is a person. He wears a garland of flowers, and he is eternally manifest with 4 hands which hold, beginning from the lower left hand, a conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. Text 48. The entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklaces, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with a kasturba jewel, and he is dressed in yellow silk garments. Text 49. The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind. Text 50 translation. Real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the oval of lotus of their hearts, the jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering. Text 51 translation. The Lord is always smiling, and the devotees should constantly see the Lord in this form as he looks very mercifully toward the devotee. In this way, the meditator should look toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all benedictions. Text 52 translation. One who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and he does not come down from meditation upon the Lord. Text 53 translation.
All right. So 45 to 51, the beautiful form of the Lord is described. And then 52, the result of meditation is described. The result is one is freed from all material contamination. 2, enriched with highest bliss. And 3, never deviates from it. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, why did Narad Muni describe the Lord's form starting from his face? I thought it's always supposed to be from his lotus feet.
Yeah, you start meditation from your lotus feet, but Narad Muni is describing the whole form.
Okay, shouldn't he have described starting from his toenails and then up to the raised nose and face?
Yeah, for our meditation, yes, we have to start from lotus feet. That point is correct. In terms of describing, he's saying these are the features of the Lord. Can describe in any sequence. That doesn't stop you. That you have to describe from the bottom. Yeah, if you can, it doesn't hurt you from starting from the lotus feet. Meditation is definitely from the lotus feet.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So verse number 53, 54 is about chanting the designated mantra for doing japa. Shalini will read 53 translation and purport, and then 54 translation plus purport, paragraph 1 and 2.
Text 53, translation. O son of the king, now I shall speak to you the mantra which is to be chanted with this process of meditation. One who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Purport. Within this universe, there is a planet called Siddhaloka. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka are by nature perfect in the yoga achievements, which are of 8 varieties. One can become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, or bigger than the biggest. One can immediately get whatever he likes. One can even create a planet, etc. These are some of the yogic perfections. By virtue of the Laghima Siddhi, or purificatory process, to become lighter than the lightest, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka can fly in the sky without airplanes or airships. It is hinted herein by Narad Muni to Dhruva Maharaj that by meditating upon the transcendental form of the Lord and at the same time chanting the mantra, one becomes so perfect that within 7 days he can see the human beings who fly in the sky. Narad Muni uses the word japa, which indicates that the mantra to be chanted is very confidential. One may ask, if it is confidential, why is it mentioned in the writing of Srimad Bhagavatam? It is confidential in this sense, one may receive a published mantra anywhere, but unless it is accepted through the chain of disciplic succession, the mantra does not act. It is said by authoritative sources that any mantra chanted without having been received from the disciplic succession has no efficacy. Another point established in this verse is that meditation should be carried on with the chanting of a mantra. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the easiest process of meditation in this age. As soon as one chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he sees the forms of Krishna, Rama, and their energies, and that is a perfect stage of trance. One should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting Hare Krishna. But when the chanting is performed offenselessly, the Lord will automatically reveal himself to the view of the chanter. Therefore, the chanter has to concentrate on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will automatically appear. Text 54, translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the 12-syllable mantra for worshipping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical form of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuffs, exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by the authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. Purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is known as the Dvada Sakshara mantra. This mantra is chanted by Vaishnava devotees and it begins with Pranava or Omkara. There is an injunction that those who are not Brahmanas cannot pronounce the Pranav mantra. But Dhruv Maharaj was born a Kshatriya. He at once admitted before Narada Muni that as a Kshatriya he was unable to accept Narada's instruction of renunciation and mental equilibrium, which are the concern of a Brahmana. Still, although not a Brahmana but a Kshatriya, Dhruva was allowed, on the authority of Narada, to pronounce the Pranav Omkara. This is very significant. Especially in India, the caste Brahmanas object greatly when persons from other castes who are not born in Brahmana families recite this Pranav mantra. But here is tacit proof that if a person accepts the Vaishnava mantra or the Vaishnava way of worshipping the deity, he is allowed to chant the Pranav mantra. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord personally accepts that anyone, even one of the lower species, can be elevated to the highest position and go back home, back to Godhead, simply if he worships properly. The prescribed rules, as stated here by Narad Muni, are that one should accept the mantra through a bona fide spiritual master and hear the mantra in the right ear. Not only one should chant or murmur the mantra, but in front of him he must have a deity or physical form of the Lord. Of course, when the Lord appears, it is no longer a physical form. For example, when an iron rod is made red hot in a fire, it is no longer iron, it is fire. Similarly, when we make a form of the Lord, whether of wood or stone or metal or jewels or paint, or even a form within the mind, it is a bona fide spiritual transcendental form of the Lord. Not only one must receive the mantra from the bona fide spiritual master like Narad Muni or his representative in the disciplic succession, but one must chant the mantra. And not only one must chant, but he should also offer whatever foodstuffs, if available, in his part of the world according to time and convenience. Hare Krishna.
So, why is this confidential mantra mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam? Srila Prabhupada explains that one may receive a published mantra, but unless the mantra is accepted through parampara, it has no efficacy, no benefit. So in ISKCON, all those who get second initiated, they are supposed to chant Gayatri Mantra 3 times a day, over and above the chanting of at least 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So the spiritual master will recite the Gayatri Mantra in the right ear of the second initiated disciple upon initiation. Only then the benefit of chanting the mantra is there. The same applies for chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra also. That when you get initiated, that spiritual master is giving you guidance to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, means he is officially telling you to chant, and that's when the benefit of chanting the mantra is there. So right now you all are chanting. Prabhupada said that everybody can chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There's no restriction. But to progress at a faster pace on the path of spirituality, all mantras, such as Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, such as Gayatri Mantra, should be received from a bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession. So because the time in Srimad Bhagavatam right now is Satyug time, and the equivalent mantra in Satyug was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya to chant. Just as right now how we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. In Satyug it used to be to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shalini had a question. Everybody on the same page?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you answered my question. Thank you.
Prabhuji, I just want to share with you one of my realization today. The evening, every day, chapter 9, a group of people, the most confidential knowledge, where we read, including yesterday we read, uninterrupted. In chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge text 2, it says the knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. I used to wonder what Prabhupada means by all secrets, most secret of all secrets. Today, by this explanation of yours, I realized that it should come through the Paramara, then it becomes all secrets. Am I right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, you are correct that, yes, that all this knowledge is confidential. It has to come through parampara. And we have also discussed in Bhagavad Gita 9.2 that this knowledge destroys all negative inclinations. We have discussed the analogy of what nuclear bombs cannot destroy. Well, nuclear bombs cannot destroy my inclination. Yes, the body gets it gets finished, and the person takes another body and continues the same inclination, same desires, same anarthas, same negative activities. Well, then what's the point of the nuclear bomb? But Bhagavad Gita knowledge is transformational, that you transform your negativity and you purify yourself. Therefore, this is the most confidential, means most transformational. And of course, it has to come through disciplic succession. All right. So verse number 54, purport, paragraph number 3 and 4, as well as a few verses describe the worship of the Lord should be according to time, place, and circumstances, and according to available ingredients such as fresh water, flowers, fruit, etc. So we will not be reading those purport because you will read it as part of your spiritual endeavor for this question. So what may be convenient, say in India, may not be convenient in the Western countries. Therefore, you have to worship according to time, place, and circumstances. And the spiritual endeavor, when you read, you will understand. Right now, we'll skip reading the rest of the purport of verse 54. So one time, a devotee asked this question to His Holiness Bhaktimark Swami here at the Toronto Temple. So this devotee was someplace north in Canada where it is significant cold and it is snowing some months and there's very little sunlight. And this devotee was asking to Bhaktimark Swami that it is not possible to put on dhoti there. We have to cover ourselves because of the cold. Then what do we do? And Bhaktimark Swami answered this, that you have to worship and follow the process according to your circumstance. So in that place, so right now there is no ISKCON there. And His Holiness Bhaktimark Swami said that in future when there will be ISKCON, well, pujaris may not put on dhoti there because it will be very difficult to put on dhoti or come there in such a cold environment unless you have a really nice closed with heat and etc. in the temple. Then the pujari may come and change within the temple premises. But otherwise, Prabhupada as is explaining what His Holiness Bhaktimark Swami explained, that you have to worship and follow what is appropriate according to time, place, and circumstances. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, 55 to 62 translations. Chandran Prabhu, they are straightforward.
Hare Krishna. Text 55. One should worship the Lord by offering few water, few flower garlands, fruits, flowers and vegetables, which are available in the forest, or by collecting newly grown grasses, small buds of flowers, or even the skins of trees, and if possible by offering tulasi leaves, which are very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 56. It is possible to worship a form of the Lord made of physical elements such as earth, water, pulp, wood, and metal. In the forest, one can make a form with no more than earth and water and worship him according to the above principles. A devotee who has full control over his self should be very sober and peaceful and must be satisfied simply with eating whatever fruits and vegetables are available in the forest. Text 57. My dear Dhruva, besides worshipping the deity and chanting the mantra 3 times a day, you should meditate upon the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different incarnations as exhibited by his supreme will and personal potencies. Text 58. One should follow in the footsteps of previous devotees regarding how to worship the Supreme Lord with the prescribed paraphernalia, or one should offer worship within the heart by reciting the mantra to the personality of Godhead, who is non-different from the mantra. Text 59 and 60. Anyone who thus engages in the devotional service of the Lord seriously and sincerely with his mind, words, and body, and who is fixed in the activities of the prescribed devotional methods, is blessed by the Lord according to his desire. If a devotee desires material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation from the material world, he is awarded these results. Text 61. If one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service, engaging 24 hours a day in the highest stage of ecstasy, and he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. Text 62. When Dhruva Maharaja, the son of the king, was thus advised by the great sage Narada, he circumambulated Narada, his spiritual master, and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he started for Madhuvana, which is always imprinted with the lotus footprints of Lord Krishna, and which is therefore especially auspicious.
Straightforward questions, straightforward verses. Any questions, comments, realizations? All right. Part 6 is verses 63 to 70. Narad Muni meets and pacifies Uttanapada. So Uttanapada regrets his unkind dealings with Dhruva. And after hearing about Dhruva's safety and future success of Dhruva, Uttanapada gives up interest in his wealthy kingdom and simply thinks of Dhruva. So these verses 63 to 70 are straightforward verses. Uncle, 63, 64 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 63. After Dhruva entered Madhuvana forest to execute devotional service, the great sage Narada thought it wise to go to the king to see how he was faring within the palace. When Narada Muni approached, the king received him properly, offering him due obeisances. After being seated comfortably, Narada began to speak. Text 64.
Hold
The
on.
great sage,
Sorry, 64 complete, yeah.
text 64. The great sage Narada inquired, "My dear king, your face appears to be withering up, and you look like having been thinking of something for a very long time. Why is that? Have you been hampered in following your path of religious rites, economic development, and sense gratification?" Can I continue?
Hold on, let me speak a statement. So here in verse 64, Shri Narad Muni inquired about dharma, artha, kama. He says about religious rights, economic development, and sense gratification. And Shri Narad Muni did not inquire about moksha because generally such materialistic people are only interested in dharma, artha, kama, and they are not interested in moksha. Therefore, Narad Muni only inquires about dharma, artha, kama. Uncle, continue 65 to 70 translations.
Text 65. The king replied, "O best of Brahmanas, I am very much addicted to my life, and I am so fallen that I have abandoned all merciful behavior, even to my son, who is only 5 years old. I have banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee." Text 66. My dear Brahmana, the face of my son was just like a lotus flower. I am thinking of his precarious condition. He is unprotected and he might be very hungry. He might have lain down somewhere in the forest and the wolves might have attacked him to eat his body. Text 67. Alas, just to see how I was conquered by my wife. Just imagine my cruelty. Out of love and affection, the boy was trying to get up on my lap, but I did not receive him, nor did I even pat him for a moment. Just imagine how hard-hearted I am. Text 68. The great sage Narada replied, "My dear king, please do not be aggrieved about your son. He is well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although you have no actual information of his influence, his reputation is already spread all over the world." Text 69. My dear king, your son is very competent. He will perform activities which would be impossible even for great kings and sages. Very soon he will complete his task and come back home. You should know that he will also spread your reputation all over the world. Text 70. The great Maitreya continued, "The king Uttanpada, after being advised by Narada Muni, practically gave up all duties in relation with his kingdom, which was very vast and wide, opulent like the goddess of fortune, and he simply began to think of his son Dhruva." Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses that Shri Narad Muni pacifies Uttanapada. Now part 7 is verses 71 to 82. Title is Dhruva's Savior Austerities and Their Effects. So verses 71 to 77 describes Dhruva's severe austerity following Ashtang Yoga path. Mother Jija, 71 to 77 translations are straightforward.
Text 71. Elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaj, having arrived at Madhuvana, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 72. For the first month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only fruits and berries on every third day, only to keep his body and soul together, and in this way he progressed in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 33. In the second month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only every 6 days, and for his eatables he took dry grass and leaves. Thus he continued his worship. Text 74. In the third month he drank water only every 9 days. Thus he remained completely in trance and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by selected verses. Text 75. In the fourth month, Dhruva Maharaj became a complete master of the breathing exercise, and thus he inhaled only every 12th day. In this way, he became completely fixed in his position and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 76. By the fifth month, Maharaj Dhruva, the son of the king, had controlled his breathing so perfectly that he was able to stand on only one leg, just as a column stands, without motion, and concentrate his mind fully on the Parabrahman. Text 77. Translation. He completely controlled his sense and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind without diversion to anything else upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So this is pure Ashtanga Yoga, where Dhruva Maharaj has shut off all his senses and therefore he is able to eat after just little bit once in so many days, or drink water once in so many days, or control the breathing. All this is advanced Ashtanga Yoga. Verse 78 onwards describes the effect of Dhruva's meditation, that the earth was pushed down because of his weight. Shivangi, 78, 79, 80 translations.
Text 78. When Dhruva Maharaja thus captured the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the refuge of the total material creation and who is the master of all living entities, the three worlds began to tremble. Text 79. As Dhruva Maharaja, the king's son, kept himself steadily standing on one leg, the pressure of his big toe pushed down half the earth, just as an elephant being carried on a boat rocks the boat left and right with his every step. Text 80. When Dhruva Maharaja became practically one in heaviness with Lord Vishnu, the total consciousness, due to his fully concentrating on his closing all the holes of his body, the total universal breathing became choked up, and all the great demigods and all the planetary systems felt suffocated and thus took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So, question is, how could Dhruva become so heavy and push down earth as well as suffocate the universal inhabitants? And the answer is in verse number 80 purport. Shalini, 80 purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 80 purport. When hundreds of persons are sitting in an airplane, although they remain individual units, they each share the total they each share in the total force of the airplane, which runs at thousands of miles per hour. Similarly, when unit energy is identified with the service of the total energy, the unit energy becomes as powerful as the total energy. As explained in the previous verse, Dhruva Maharaj, because of his spiritual advancement, became almost the total heaviness, and thus he pressed down the whole earth. Moreover, by such spiritual power, his unit body became the total body of the universe. Thus, when he closed the holes of his unit body to firmly concentrate his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the units of the universe, namely, all the living entities, including the big demigods, felt the pressure of suffocation, as if their breathing was being choked. Therefore, they all took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they were perplexed as to what had happened. This example of Dhruva Maharaj closing the holes of his personal body and thereby closing the breathing holes of the total universe clearly indicates that a devotee, by his personal devotional service, can influence all the people of the whole world to become devotees of the Lord. If there is only one pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, he can change the total consciousness of the world into Krishna consciousness. This is not very difficult to understand if we study the behavior of Dhruva Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
So the analogy of passenger in airplane is given that each person shares the total force of the airplane. Similarly, Dhruva, because of his concentration on the Lord, became almost the total heaviness, and hence he could push down earth. By spiritual power, his body became the total body of the universe. Therefore, when Dhruva closed the holes of his body to firmly concentrate his mind on the Lord, all units of the universe felt the suffocation. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, here, Dhruva Maharaj, when he's doing Ashtanga Yoga and all this, he's still the 5-year-old boy, Prabhu?
He's still 5-year-old boy, correct.
Okay.
All right, Chandran Prabhu, 81, 82 translations, last 2 verses.
Hare Krishna. Text 81. The demigod said, Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating, the breathing process choked out. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger. Text 82. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, My dear demigods, do not be perturbed by this. It is due to the severe austerity and full determination of the son of King Uttanapada, who is now fully absorbed in thought of me. He has obstructed the universal breathing process. You can safely return to your respective homes. I shall stop this boy in his severe acts of austerities, and you will be saved from this situation. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations? Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 4th canto, 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Dhruva Maharaj Leaves Home for Forest. All right, spiritual endeavor questions. Question number 1. What is the essential instruction from the life of Dhruva Maharaj? Comes from verse 35. Number 2. What is the significance of Srila Narad Muni giving Dhruva the Pranava mantra? Comes from verse 54. Number 3. Describe the importance of Desha Kala. Desha Kala means according to time, place, and circumstances. Comes from verses 54 and 55. And for next class, read Canto 4, Chapter 9.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just one thing to just add. With this time, place, and circumstance, that thought came to my mind because I had gone to the ISKCON Chapati temple. They had offered the kadamba flower to the lotus feet of the Lord Prabhu. So it's possible to get it here. So they're offering, although it is very precious to Krishna, but we are not going to get it in Toronto. So it's not offered. There's a thought came.
Yeah, very good. Correct point. All right. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes,
Thank
Prabhu.
you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.